Nobody pushed that medication out. The only person that pushed that medication out was RaDonda Vaught. But she goes out there and says, I lied, and the state lies, and then we're out to get her, and then we don't, not to quote her, but we don't care about nurses and we don't know about health care.
You would agree that the trial of this case was an emotionally charged week, and at the end of that week, an individual who has been through that might say things that they probably shouldn't.
And I take great umbrage with the fact that Mr. Strianse said that the state's trying to take the liberty of Mr. RaDonda Vaught. We're not. We're presenting our case to you, the jurors. We don't decide anything but what evidence we put on, and you make the rest of the decision, and so does the judge. But the one who's responsible for this told TBI, and told everybody else that she would have never given more than 1 milligram. Ladies and gentlemen, that's way more than 1 milligram. And you want me to tell you why? Mr. Strianse said he thought some stuff about what the proof meant. I'll tell you,
We're not saying that this is not ultimately the same vial, the same syringes, but over the past 4 or 5 years, it passes through all of those different people. RaDonda Vaught, to Ethan Gully, to Daniel Neely, to Misty Ashby, to Diane Moat, to Gail Lanigan, who we learned through the testimony is a nurse investigator for the Department of Health, then to Diane's boss at Vanderbilt, Sandy Bledsoe, to the TBI, to the FBI. So that's a lot of people that are handling this. Again, this is a criminal case, proved beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they are trying to sell you that there was enough liquid and do this crazy ratio with the Vecuronium to be the cause of death, that is a pretty thin reed. And again, this is a criminal case.
And I'll tell you what I think. When she gave that interview a year later to TBI, to Shirley Pickering, she had no idea they still had the evidence. So she went back off of what she would have done, what she thinks she would have done. I would have given the bare minimum. I would have given 1 milligram. But there is far more out of that syringe than 1 milligram. Imagine what, as we have here, possibly 3 to 4. And don't just go off your recollection about how much was in the vial, because the FBI weighed it. The FBI, whether it was 5.4 when you look at that report, 5.4 milligrams of Vecuronium bromide that was tested and verified as Vecuronium bromide. That means there was 4.6 milligrams gone. Nobody can understand that. Nobody pushed that medication out. The only person that pushed that medication out was RaDonda Vaught. There is an intervening factor to the defense's idea the cause of death was a heart attack or the brain bleed got worse. It was the introduction of 4 milligrams at least of Vecuronium bromide. There's no question about the cause of death. It was Vecuronium bromide. The smoke screen has to finally dissipate at some point. And I hope that happens.
Some concerns about whether there was enough Vecuronium that was administered to Miss Murphy to actually cause acute Vecuronium intoxication?
So basically what I want to know is what is the amount exactly the Vecuronium was administered, yes.
And you made it really clear to Special Agent Ramona Smith that you needed, I think the phrase you used was concrete information. Is that right?
Exactly.
And then line 10, you say because Vecuronium, if it was given a little bit, probably would not make a big difference. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you go on to say it's too late at line 19 to do any testing.
Yes.
That means you didn't have the benefit of an autopsy.
Right.
You did not have the benefit of the typical blood toxicology report that's an attachment to your autopsies. Is that right?
Yes. I feel this is a result of the medication effect.
And of course you are a physician.
Yes.
You are an expert. You are a scientist.
Yes.
The best methodology would have been to know exactly how much Vecuronium this patient had been administered.
Right, ideally, but in any event, if you put everything together, in addition to how much you were given and what happened to the patient, and without any, what do you call it, the proper monitoring, then put everything together as a whole, as a total, then I feel comfortable that it changed the cause of death and manner of death.
And I'm not being critical at all, but what you're describing is more of a circumstantial exercise as opposed to a hard scientific analysis and result.
So ideally, we'll have that exact the level or something, but to practice medicine, a lot of times is just put everything together from the investigation, medical record, and additional information. You put everything together as a total and come up a conclusion.